A very important prison survival item. That is the topic, these are the prison stories, and that's what we're getting ready to do. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to After Prison Show, and today I want to share with you guys some prison stories involving a very important prison survival item. Now, when you think about prison survival, I'm sure there's quite a few things that come to mind, especially in terms of an item. What type of an item is going to be key to surviving prison? And I'm quite sure that the very first thing that comes to mind is a knife. In some cases, yes, that might be something that you need. God, I hope you never find yourself in a situation like that where you do need that. We're not talking about that at all here today. In fact, we are keeping this absolutely non-violent. And with that, you know, what are some things that guys are gonna need to be able to survive prison without talking about weapons? You know, think about going camping. You're gonna need certain things in an effort to be able to enjoy that experience. You're gonna need certain things. And prison is in some cases kind of like going camping, I guess, or maybe like summer camp, or even like a fraternity house. Though there most certainly aren't any wild, crazy college parties with a whole bunch of girls there. In fact, you're definitely gonna be lacking the ladies while locked up. There's quite a few things that a guy's gonna need to be able to survive prison. You're gonna need your prisoner's survival kit. And you know, this could include all sorts of things. You're gonna need hygiene products. You definitely don't wanna be walking around in there being that stinking prisoner, because that could lead you to some problems. You gotta make sure that you're brushing your teeth, washing your hands, washing your ass. Hygiene is gonna be paramount. That's gonna be a very important thing that you need. There's also other things that a prisoner could need, or more so want, that could help them to survive prison, such as your Zoom Zooms and Wham Whams, your coffee, your chips, your sodas, your crackers, your ramen noodle soups, a little summer sausage, and some pickle juice.
Ramen soup, ramen soup, ramen soup, ramen soup, ramen soup, ramen soup, ramen soup. Can I get a soup? Add a little cheese, can I get a scoop? Little summer sausage and some pickle juice. Hey, what y'all cooking? Ocean bang potato chips is the truth. You got some chips. In prison, don't sit with cherry dude. Chicken, beef, shrimp, or yellow flavored chili soup, ramen soup, ramen soup, ramen soup. You got a lot of soup. Ramen soup, ramen soup.
Did I tell you guys I've been working on some new music? We are gonna have a new After Prison Show rap coming soon. But with all that we've mentioned thus far already, there's one other item that I think personally is super important to being able to survive prison, to get through prison as comfortably as you possibly can. And it's this particular item that we're gonna be focusing on in this video. I'm gonna be sharing with you guys some prison stories, some crazy stories about this particular item, some things that you probably never even knew, never possibly could imagine. And it's my hope that you guys enjoy this. So, with all that being mentioned, what do you say we go ahead and dive head first into this video? Yeah, folks, I just got this new phone, this new iPhone that's letting me do these Animoji things, and I am definitely liking this. I hope you guys enjoyed that right there. And I'm also thinking about putting together an entire prison story video using only the Animojis. Maybe something like an After Prison Show animated prison story. And you know, if that's something you guys would like to see, hit that like button for me and let me know. And we'll try to bring that to you real soon. Folks, this one very important prison survival item that I want to focus on in this video is something that we've talked about quite a bit here on After Prison Show. We're going to dissect this thing down to the absolute nitty-gritty, like we've been doing quite a bit of lately here on After Prison Show with the stories that we've been featuring here. But this one particular item is the prison porn. Something old Joe most certainly spent his fair share of time with while serving time, the prison porn, aka the shots, or the ladies. And in fact, for the sake of this video, we are gonna be referring to that as just what I said right there, either the shots or the ladies. Folks, the shots or the ladies, something I consider very important to being able to survive prison. Again, when you're packing that camping gear to go on that weekend excursion and possibly your old lady's gonna come up missing and you're gonna end up on an episode of Dateline. And in fact, things were about to take a major turn in this forbidden relationship. What would be this major turn about to take place in this forbidden relationship? And how would this change things? Also, do you think it's normal that my neck tenses up this much when I talk? Could this be early signs of a stroke on the horizon? We now return you to Dateline here on After. We now return you to Dateline here on After Prison Show. I've seen Dateline episodes that go just like that. But when you're packing that gear up, there's certain things that you're gonna need. You're gonna need a lighter so that you can light the fire. You're gonna need your thermos so that you can have your coffee. You're gonna need a pot so you can cook your food in. You're gonna need a cell phone with some reception so you got a GPS in case you get lost, because who really knows how to camp these days? Possibly a Wi-Fi connection as well. I bet you camping ain't nothing like what it used to be. But the same principle applies to serving time. When you get locked up, there's certain things that you're gonna need. You're gonna need that prisoner's camping kit. You're gonna need those soups up in your locker, some sort of a prison hustle. You're gonna need those hygiene items. You're gonna need plenty of pairs of socks, boxers, t-shirts. You're gonna need some stamps and some paper and some pens so you can write to your old lady and try to keep her there and ensure through every letter that you send her, it's almost like a force field protecting your relationship from Jody. If you miss that letter, if you forget to write that letter, Jody will infiltrate your home. Seen that happen many a times. Guys will blame mail call on that all day long. It was because the officer forgot to send out the mail, or the old lady at the house lying about not getting the letter. I told you, Bobby, I didn't receive the letter. Had I received the letter, Jody would have never came into the picture. This is your fault. It's your fault, Bobby. And with all of those things, another very important thing to surviving prison is the shots, aka the ladies. Now, I know some people might assume that this is being silly, but I got to assure you, this is not at all. I try to break things down to the realest that I possibly can. And for anybody who has ever served time, I guarantee they can attest to this fact, and if they don't, they're lying or embarrassed, because this could in some cases be kind of embarrassing. The shots are important. These things are so important because they help a man to be able to maintain his manliness, his libido, to keep him connected in some kind of a material piece of paper way to something very important in life. The relationship between a man and a woman, or between a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, whatever your cup of tea is. Shots are super important to being able to survive prison. Shots also, I truly believe this, keep the temperature down inside of a prison, a jail, a cell block, or a housing unit. When guys are able to I'm thinking of the right way. When guys are able to, take care of that situation amongst themselves, by themselves, I truly feel like that keeps tensions at a low. And the crazy thing to think about this is, with that being a reality, it's something that I've seen personally. I know there's been days when I've been stressed out in prison. I'm talking about ready to, and then all of a sudden I just go do the do and everything is, I don't even care. I just had me a prison date. I'm good. I just went to the ATM, got me some money. Yeah, that check cleared all right. Most certain. There wasn't no change. Nah, I gave him a nice tip. Nice tip. 35% gratuity right there. That is actually a really good tip. But with the fact that that is a reality, when guys are able to get access to that, take care of that situation, it does keep the temperature and the stress and the tension down just a little bit. It's not going to relieve every problem. I'm not saying this is the solve-all, but it's just crazy to think that this is something that in most, probably all prisons, I'm sure there's still some that allow it, you're not allowed to have. They've done away with this, and this was something that actually used to be allowed. That's why there's still so much of it floating around, or it's getting smuggled in as contraband. But they've done away with allowing prisoners access to the ladies. And their justification for this is because they say it causes an adverse effect. It makes tensions even higher, especially in that particular department, causing certain particular types of attacks, which I don't honestly think is the case. Maybe they've got some kind of scientific census study that proves otherwise, but this is just my particular opinion that I'm offering to you guys. The shots and the ladies are super important, and I'm getting ready to share with you guys some prison stories in relation to just how deep might not exactly be the right word to be using right here, just how deep this rabbit hole involving the prison porn really is. I want to start all of this back in 2008, during the very first time that I ever went to prison, when I would first become introduced to the shots and the ladies. And my God, what an introduction it was. That was cringe. It was 2008 when I first went to prison, but make no mistake of it, I had been locked up ever since 2001, in and out of jail. 2008 would be the first time that I had gone to prison. Now, prior to me going to prison, of course, I knew all about what it meant to go on a prison date. In fact, thinking back to the first time that I ever did the do like Mountain Dew while locked up, that was a weird experience. There's nothing really like trying to do that when you're surrounded by so many other people. You might got a sheet up in front of your cell, acting like you're using the bathroom, but you're not really using the bathroom. You're doing something else entirely. It's a weird thing to kind of get in the groove of. But once you do get in the groove of it, it's really not that big of a deal. But at first, it most certainly is. But the reason I bring up from the very beginning of me getting locked up and that first really probably TMI experience is because back in the jail, they didn't really have any kind of shots or ladies. They had certain magazines like a Maximum magazine or a Blender magazine or a XXL magazine or a King magazine. And these are magazines that are not at all really, that extreme. This is as soft as it gets right here. And for anybody who has gone through their teenage years, you become well-versed in the shots and the ladies out in the free world. And if you say that you didn't, you're lying, or you've either been playing way too much Fortnite. Boy, that was a burn right there. And with the experience that you probably gain in your younger years, you're seeing some pretty exclusive, to say the least, type of material, to say the least. So when you get to a jail that doesn't really have nothing except for those magazines that I've mentioned, or maybe like a Sears bra sales ad, it's kind of hard to get jiggy with that. That's all you've got, or you've got your memories. This is really a crazy prison story that I'm sharing with you guys. But this is keeping it 1,000. Y'all want to know what it's like to serve time, and I know there's a lot of people out there that can relate. Joe, I remember that first Sears catalog I seen with that bra section and them granny panties. Stuff was hot. It's not really. It's not at all. But that's what you got to work with, and you got to work with what you got. So I guess getting to prison for the very first time and, noticing all of the different things that were taking place in prison versus the jail, all this extra rec time, all this extra gang activity, better commissary. They were smoking still in prison during this time. I mean, my first prison experience was really like going to college and being in a fraternity with a lot of gangs and violence and crazy other stuff that was happening as well. And with all of these extra things that prison offered versus what the jail offered, one other thing that it offered as well was that exclusive type of material, the shots and the ladies. And I want to share with you guys what it was like when I first ran across this for the very first time in prison. Now, this would take place when I got to the prison I would get to after receiving. I went to receiving levels 1 through 5 there. That's your classification prison. I would end up going to a level 1 from there. Straight convict status, level 1. You can't tell me nothing about this prison life. Thug life, for life, level 1 inmate. I make no grand illusions about that. And I'm thinking about going and getting a teardrop tattoo. I think, with the fact I do After Prison Show, I really should be rocking a teardrop. It'll symbolize, all the mistakes I've made along the way. I'll probably need a tsunami across my face because I made some mistakes. I got to this level 1 prison that was also known as a road camp. Guys go out, they go to work, they're working on the road or on a farm or on some kind of a ditch cleaning crew or maybe a job inside of the fence. You're working at a level 1. That's the main thing. But back in the day, I want to give you a little history lesson. See, when you get to prison and you get to start knowing people, you'll run into the old heads who have been there for years. And that's the craziest thing to think about. You got dudes who have been at some of these prisons like for 5 or more years. You've got dudes who have been to this prison way back in the day. They're coming back for the second time. They've been at these prisons back in the day. Is the best thing that I'm trying to tell you right now. And what I would end up learning is that back in the day at this level 1 work center, road camp, they didn't have any fences around this place. I mean, think about that. You're going to a prison and there's no fences. They had fences when I was there though. And prisoners were able to just walk out, go to work, come back, they're doing their time. This was like a damn fraternity house. They also had like field days and picnic days and family days and barbecues and 4th of July days and all these activities that they didn't have these anymore when I got there. And I'm thinking to myself, damn, why the hell couldn't I have been in prison when they didn't have no fences? I'd probably ran. I'm kidding, I ain't no convict, I ain't built like that. I'd have never ran. I'd have told on somebody if they ran though. Tried to give me a time cut. I'm gonna need another teardrop for that statement right there. But supposedly and allegedly, this prison was nothing like what it was while I was there. And these old heads would tell me just that. Hey, yeah, youngin', I'm trying to tell you, youngin' boy, you got them fresh Junie cakes, though. You went to commissary? Where'd you get those Junies from? Where do you see cakes at? Because I'm actually kind of hungry. I wouldn't mind sharing some cakes with you. I'm trying to tell you back in the day at this prison right here, see, this is my second time being here. I've been here for 5 years already, and then back in the day, I was here for another 5 years. I ain't never done right. But back in the day, though, youngin', they ain't had no fences. You could just walk and come and go as you want. You could drive a car if you wanted to. They had family day, field day, picnic day, 4th of July day, party day, share the Junie Cakes day. Give me your Junie Cake. I'm about to take your Junie Cakes day. I'm sorry. Where was I? But I would learn from the old heads at this prison that, back in the day, this place was a lot sweeter than what it was. And with it being so sweet, it was also a lot easier to get the contraband in. And when you think about contraband, you're thinking about your tobacco, your cell phone. They didn't have cell phones back in the day. Your pagers and they didn't have pagers or beepers. Your Atari, they probably barely just started coming out. Your drugs and also your shots. And the reason I share all of this with you guys is because, again, when I first got to this prison, I got these old heads in my ear talking about Junie Cakes and asking for my cakes, and I didn't even know what cakes were then. I learned. I also ran across the ladies for the very first time. And when I ran across the ladies for the very first time, I'm green. So I'm getting to learn the ropes in prison. I'm learning about prison politics. Even at a level 1, you've got prison politics no matter where you serve time at. If you go to summer camp, they got prison politics there. So I'm making friends. I'm having a grand old time. I've only got 6 months to serve at this prison. And with me making friends, I start to, understand that there's a time and a place for everything, including going on a prison date by yourself, taking a lady out to Dairy Queen or Golden Corral or wherever you're gonna take her. You've got the material, you're gonna end up in the bathroom or the shower or the back corner of the cell block or up in your bunk with your blankets over your head and your knees up tucked to your chest and a little slight pitter-patter vibration. Yeah, dudes were doing that. Dudes was going on prison dates right there in the wide open. But with me making friends, I would learn that, hey, look, you gotta ask. You gotta ask somebody if you could take their ladies out. So look, we've become nice prison friends, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't been able to relieve some pressure. Sorry, I didn't mean to scream, but look, it's been a long time. Do you have any, I don't even feel right asking, you wouldn't have a girl I could borrow, would you? That's also a very awkward conversation to have when you've never had that conversation before. You got to try to do it the best that you can, and that's probably verbatim to how my first encounter with asking to borrow somebody's material went. But I would end up getting this material. This person would let me borrow some of what they had, and when I got this, you can't just have this material because, again, like I told you, this has been banned. And it's now harder to get that type of material in, if not impossible. So not only do you have to hide what you have, you also have to camouflage what you have. So that means you might have a notebook with some pages that have been taped together with some stuff taped on those pages. You might have a Sears catalog, a Lowe's sales ad. Why that dude looking so hard at that Lowe's sales paper like that? And that's something else you'll realize too is guys, there's levels to the pervertedness. Some guys will look at this right out in the open and you won't know necessarily what they're looking at because these are in camouflage magazines or folders or notebooks or anything else that they can hide this in. But when you see a guy looking at the Bible in that type of a way right there, that ain't no normal Bible he's looking at. Some of these dudes look like they're smoking crack looking at these magazines right out there in the public too. You gotta hide this stuff. You gotta hide it, you gotta protect it, you gotta be careful who you let use it. Some guys will rent this stuff out. You can borrow this for 10 minutes and it's gonna cost you $2. It's actually a very lucrative hustle. This is why I would end up getting into it. But back during this time, I was super green. So when I asked to borrow some of this material for the very first time, excuse me, police officer, I'll take 2 drugs, please. That's a long story. That joke probably went over the heads of some people. But anyways, it was probably weird the way that I asked. It was certainly weird for me to ask somebody. But when they handed me this, it was in like a folder. So I didn't see exactly what it was. So when this guy hands me this folder, you start to feel the tingling, that sensation. Boy, I'm telling you, we're going to get deep with this. All right, so I tuck it. Boy, I'm a convict now. All right. God, I can't wait. Hey, who got next on that back toilet? I got to get that. So I got this stuff tucked to my chest. And I'm watching everybody now. I'm probably looking super suspicious too. I'm having a seizure. Don't worry about it. And this also takes place at certain times too. You got time and a place for everything, especially this. So this would usually take place later in the evening, like after 9 o'clock count, between like 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, and most certainly after 11 o'clock count when it's lights out. Guys love to go back in the back toilet for this type of activity after lights out. And there ain't nothing like really having to use the bathroom at 11 o'clock at night because you done ate some swole and your guts is bubbling. You knew you should have put them chili beans on that meal so late at night. They just had chili beans for dinner in the chow hall. That's too much chili beans. It's gonna look like chili beans in this toilet once I get up in there. And you go use the bathroom and you're sitting and you try to be quiet, right? Because you don't want to be making a lot of sounds and blowing the toilet up when people are trying to sleep. And that's embarrassing too. So you're trying to be super quiet. But right in the next stall over, you know there's somebody there because you can see their feet right there. And their feet shaking like they're having a seizure. And you can hear the noise, the sounds, the sound effects. It sounds like a wet squeegee running back and forth on a window. Actually, it might not sound anything like that. That was the first thing that came to mind. But when I got these shots for the very first time and I got to that back toilet and I pulled that out, I was so excited. God, I was so excited for this. Telling you, this is a major survival item. Y'all might think I'm playing, but I'm being dead serious. I pulled out this folder and I was just so eager to open this up and just see what was in there. Stuff that I hadn't seen in so long. It's like being sensory deprivation, I think is what it is. Like when you're looking at the same gray walls all day long and you see something colorful. Well, all I've been seeing is dudes, so I'm dying to see what's in this folder. I popped this folder open and folks, when I looked at this, I was like, what the? What? What I saw inside of the folder, folks, struck me, it surprised me. And the reason it surprised me is because what this was Ancient Aliens Artifacts 1970s style material. And you know, the 70s and older was really weird. You know, you're talking about like almost looking at like a silent film right here. You can't really rock with that these days. So I'm looking at this and I'm realizing how old it is. And I touch a page and the page is almost like paper mache. You know what paper mache is like when it hardens? That's like what one of these pages was. If I would have tried to bend the page, it would have snapped in half. And I'm thinking to myself how much DNA is on these pages as I'm pulling them out. And as I pull out one single page, it sounds like sandpaper scratching across sandpaper. Oh my God. I'm thinking to myself how much DNA is on this first of all. You could probably solve a cold case with the amount of DNA that's up here. If you had a black light, this would be worse than anything that you would see in a sleazy motel room that charges by the hour. So I'm trying to get past the DNA evidence, but what I can't get past is how old this stuff is, right? I mean, these chicks got like afros everywhere. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I don't even feel right about this. Like this absolutely, the situation. I'm thinking, my God, 1970s, it's 2008. You're talking 30, almost 40 years. Some of these young ladies might not even be alive anymore, but they've left behind a lifelong legacy. I can't help but think to myself, well, I'm not thinking about what I'm seeing in the picture. I'm thinking about where they are now. The Behind the Music, VH1, where are they now? And that's the image that's in my head. But again, like going to jail for the very first time and experiencing that very first prison date behind that sheet tied up when people are thinking that you're using the bathroom or you're thinking that that's what they're thinking, but they really are thinking they know what you're doing. You got to find a way to adapt and accept what you have and make the most usefulness out of something that you might not think at first is all that useful at all. And that's what I would end up doing. And I feel bad about that. But my first experience with the shots and the ladies would end up being people that I would assume at this point are no longer with us or are grandmothers, great-great-great-great-grandmothers. I felt bad. When I got done and I took that back to my friend, I said, here, man, hey, thanks, but hey, thank you. Like them ladies, don't you, boy? I got them throwbacks right there. That's like a throwback Odell Beckham, New York's Giant jersey right there. What happened to the Giants in the draft? Yeah, I got them throwbacks right there, straight. That's my thing, though, them old ladies. They super old now. I know some of them ain't even with us no more, but you like that. I never asked to see that guy's material again. But what I would learn from this entire experience is a couple of things. You know, one, it was crazy to realize how much of this ancient artifact, I mean, this was almost like digging up some fossils. Type of material was still floating around these prisons that had gotten through probably 400 shakedowns. Stuff that was taken out of the building, back into the building, out of the building. Probably saw more male. That probably belonged in the Guinness World Records book. And I also thought to myself, I was like, man, you know, with as creative as guys are to not only hide and create makeshift books, because what they do, like I said, you got to camouflage it. You don't want people seeing exactly what you have, especially staff. So, you'll make these makeshift scrapbooks, basically. I think to myself now, could you imagine getting your hands on one of these with, 4 pairs of gloves on? Because that's probably what you would need to touch one of these. But taking one of those makeshift prison shot/lady scrapbooks and putting that thing up on eBay. I wonder what that would fetch. To some weirdo, it might fetch a pretty penny. Believe it or not, the shots and the ladies are super important to doing time. And I truly feel like if prisoners were still allowed to get access to that type of material, it might keep certain tensions down, certain activities down, or lessen certain activities from taking place, such as, prisoners hitting a female nurse or a guard with the flash drive. Flash drive, look at me now. All you had to do is give me some magazines, but y'all don't want to give me that, do you? You see me, standing tall and ready at attention like I'm standing to count. There are a lot of things that a prisoner needs in an effort to be able to survive prison. I truly feel like this is absolutely one of the most important. You've got a lot of guys who are locked up who don't have any kind of support whatsoever. It's been 2 or 3 years since their old lady ran off with Jody. They've got nobody in the world. And as silly and as weird or twisted or anything else as all of this may sound, you really truly couldn't imagine just how much comfort comes from being able to have access to that type of stuff first and foremost, and also what that type of stuff truly means to prisoners. Again, I share with you like my first encounters with all of that type of stuff, and don't get me wrong, not everything that I would run in during that first stay in that level 1 prison would be ancient artifacts type of stuff. However, it was in more high volume than anything current, and that was because, as time went on and as we went from the past to the present, it's become a lot harder to get the newer stuff in. Not only does that type of stuff offer comfort, a way to relieve certain tensions while locked up, but it's also a major moneymaker as well. And it will also make you tons of friends. If people know you've got that type of material, everybody wants to be your friend, just so they ain't got to pay you that $2 in rent to borrow that for 10 minutes. And so yeah, the shots and the ladies, very important item to being able to survive prison. And without them, all prisoners are left with is just a fleeting memory or a JCPenney's bra and granny panty sales ad. Personally, I don't feel like that's gonna really do you too much justice, if you ask me. Hey, look, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please leave a like and a comment, letting me know exactly what you thought about it. I'm pretty sure you thought all sorts of crazy stuff about it, to be honest. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted, nor ever find yourself locked up in a situation where you gotta learn about all of this that I'm sharing with y'all, especially in today's video. And make the most of every day.